Hello, my name is Kassia Wosick-Correa, and I'm the Instructional Development Associate at the Teaching, Learning, and Technology Center. The purpose of this video is to provide a few quick tips for effective course design. Perhaps you are planning your first course and would like some guidance on where to begin or how to approach the process. Or maybe you have been teaching courses for a while and would like to tune up your course design. Regardless of where you are in the course design process, we hope you'll benefit from the information presented in this brief video. As you may already know, designing a course can be a rather overwhelming process. While this video vignette can provide several tips to assist in developing a course, the TLTC offers several workshops devoted to course design, and instructional associates are also available for personalized consultation services. On your screen, you will see a link to the actual PowerPoint slides used for this vignette. Feel free to print them off and make notes as needed. On the lower right portion of your screen, you will also see a resources link that will guide you to several recommended resources for learning more about effective course design. Okay, let's get started. Many instructors approach a course by arranging a list of topics by date throughout a quarter or semester. In order to keep student learning the goal, experts suggest you should think about what you want the outcomes to be for the class, and then figure out how you will achieve those outcomes. In order to do this, we often think of basic course design as involving three main components: learning objectives, course assignments, and assessments. Before we discuss each of these further, I'd like for you to think of each component as a question you may need to ask yourself in designing your course. The first component is often referred to as learning objectives. In identifying the learning objectives for your course, it may be helpful to ask yourself questions such as, what will students take away from this course? What skills will they learn? What information will they apply? The second component involves course activities. In identifying the activities for your course, it may be helpful to ask yourself, what activities will students do in order to meet the learning objectives? How will they apply and practice certain skills? Where and how will they learn the information? The third component involves assessment. In creating assessments for your course, it may be helpful to ask yourself, how will students' comprehension or application of the course materials be assessed? How can students demonstrate their successful comprehension, application, or knowledge of material or skills? Here's a tip. Make sure that your learning objectives, course activities, and assessments all fit together cohesively. Great. Let's take a more detailed look at each of these basic course design components. The first component of basic course design is to establish learning objectives. Objectives usually involve a combination of content knowledge, skills, and values. Content knowledge refers to topics, material, and course information central to the course, and can be identified by asking, what should students know? For example, a molecular biology course could be approached by listing several main topics that students should know about molecular biology. Skills, both learning and applied, can also be a part of your course learning objectives and can be identified by asking, what should students do with what they know? For example, a political science course may weave in critical thinking or problem-solving skills as a central objective. Finally, values may seem too subjective to include as a learning objective. However, in asking what should students care about, students may walk away from a course on history having learned about values central to the discipline of history. For example, its importance or social contributions. Here's a tip. Think about both short-term, such as a daily class, and long-term, such as weekly or quarterly learning objectives. If you begin planning your course with quality learning objectives, other design components like activities and assessment will fall into place. Let's take a moment to further examine quality learning objectives, which should be carefully written to focus on behavior. Good learning objectives should provide a description of what the students should do or be able to do. Using a clear action verb is the best way to ensure that you can measure or assess this behavior later on. For example, in the following learning objective, writing a short story is the behavior, with write being the actual action verb, which is indicated in pink text. Quality learning objectives should also state the conditions under which the student is expected to perform the behavior. For example, the following learning objective indicates that students will write this short story about their summer vacation, which is the condition of the objective noted in pink text. Finally, quality learning objectives should focus on the learner. Writing objectives that stress student behavior, comprehension, or performance will ensure that students remain the center of your course design efforts. For example, students, as indicated in pink text in the following learning objective, will be writing a short story about their summer vacation. Here's a tip. When writing learning objectives, instructors often use verbs that are vague or hard to measure. For a detailed list of suggested verbs to use and avoid, please refer to the recommended resources page at the end of this video. The second component of basic course design is to establish activities that engage students in learning, applying, and practicing content knowledge, skills, and values. Researchers suggest that course activities should be as active as possible to facilitate learning. Why? Well, according to Myers and Jones, active learning provides opportunities for students to meaningfully talk and listen, write, read, and reflect on the content, ideas, issues, and concerns of an academic subject. In other words, students learn through multiple methods and have the opportunity to practice, process, and even assess what skills and knowledge they are learning. Students also tend to retain the skills and knowledge they've learned actively. The following list includes several activities you can use to transfer or initiate learning in or outside the classroom. While lecture is a common tool, it is not really active. Weaving several interactive components into your lectures, such as small group activities, role-playing, debates, and question and answer sessions, allow students to be engaged with the material and each other. Here's a tip. Make sure that course activities fit both with the learning objectives and prepare students for assessments. The final component of basic course design is to assess students' learning, application, and practice of content knowledge, skills, and values taught in the class. Assessment can take various forms: writing assignments such as memos, response papers, or term papers, oral presentations, exams, quizzes, and projects are common assessment tools. While exams are probably the most customary, using a combination of various assessment tools will allow students to demonstrate their learning throughout the course in a range of ways. Before a major assessment, such as a midterm or final exam, students should have multiple in-class and out-of-class opportunities to practice and apply what knowledge and skills they have learned or are expected to know or do in the course. Here's a tip. Not all assessments need to be graded, but if you do grade an assignment, make sure to use a rubric to communicate your expectations and keep your grading consistent. Throughout this video, I have presented three main components of basic course design, which include learning objectives, course activities, and assessments. In establishing learning objectives, activities for students to achieve those objectives, and assessments to measure student achievement, you have essentially approached designing your course with students as the focus. We call this a learner-centered approach. Here's a final tip. Remember to design a course that is learner-centered rather than teacher-centered. Asking yourself what will students do in class, rather than what will I cover in class, will keep your instructional attention where it needs to be, on the students. We hope you enjoyed this video vignette on quick tips for effective course design. Please explore our recommended resources in course design and make sure to contact the TLTC with any questions or assistance you may need. I hope this video has helped you enjoy the course design process.